Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Jade. It is great to have you here. I feel like this video is long overdue. It is my May wrap up. I have been putting this video off simply because I feel like I talked about a lot of these books already. I talk about them a lot across all platforms, like on my TikTok and on my Instagram, but I do want to go ahead and put out a May wrap up for you guys. So it is going to be a long video, so I'm gonna go ahead and just get started. So the first book that I read in May was Mistborn: The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I read this from May 1st to May 6th. So Mistborn follows this girl, her name is Vin. She is a Scar like the servants of the world. They're the lower class in this world that is covered by ash and mist, and it is ruled over by this godlike figure called the Lord Ruler. Ben is recruited by Kelsier. He is a Mistborn. He's like this infamous Mistborn. He broke out of this jail that's supposed to be like unbreakable, and he is really rallying around the Skull and helping them try to gain momentum to try to overthrow the Lord Ruler. So Vin gets recruited by him, and that's where the story takes place. She is now part of this like ragtag group of thieves that try to find a way to be able to start a revolution to overthrow the Lord Ruler. So this is really plot heavy. Our main focus is our characters trying to figure out a way to overthrow the Lord Ruler, but there is a romance subplot in this one. One of my favorite tropes ever is found family, and this also has a found family trope, so if you like that, it is definitely in here. This book was so immersive and action-packed. I feel like in this one, even though there were still like descriptive paragraphs in this one, what stood out to me was the fact that our characters were constantly interacting with one another. Whenever we were by ourselves, the dialogue within our characters, because you do see multiple POVs of mainly Kelsier and Vin, but you do get some like side characters. Even their inner dialogue was so interesting in the way it was written, but our characters were also constantly interacting with each other, like I said. Again, this is a ragtag group, so there are constantly like meetings where they're all together and like trying to hash out what they're gonna do. But of course, they're also joking with each other, messing with each other, and there's that found family element in this really throughout this whole book, and I enjoyed it so much because of that. I will say the reason why I was a bit iffy about this book just a little bit was because of age gap between Vin and her love interest. When we meet Vin, she is 16, I believe, and her love interest is 21. And she turned 17 in the middle of this book, but he still is 21. So that's why I was like, that is a bit, like, that's odd. That's a bit weird. So I did like have a little bad taste in my mouth because of that, but overall I truly did enjoy this one. It was immersive, it was action-packed, I love the found family element. Everything about this was so fun. You fall in love with our characters super easily. I hands down love Kelsier. He is definitely my favorite, and so it is very easy to just start rooting for these characters and just fall into this world and be with Vin and Kelsier. I ended up giving this one a 4 stars overall. It was, again, very fun. I enjoyed it. I cannot wait to pick up the second one, which will hopefully be sometime in this month, the month of June. The next book I read was Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This one's about our main character. Her name is Trisha, and her new husband, whose name is Ethan. They are newly married and they're searching for their dream home together. While searching, they decide to tour this huge house in the middle of the woods in like right outside the city of New York. And at the time that they're touring this house, a big snowstorm hits them. So they go inside the house for shelter, and while they're there, they figure out that the house's previous owner was Dr. Adrienne Hale. She was a renowned psychiatrist. She was very famous because of a couple of books that she wrote, but she unfortunately is now the infamous Dr. Adrienne Hale because of her disappearance that happened a few years prior. Freaked out by this, Trisha wants nothing to do with the house. She wants to leave. She does not want to be there. She wants to not move there, but Ethan is very intrigued. He thinks the house is beautiful. He's curious as to what happened to Dr. Hale, but that's not like on his radar. He just loves this house. He wants this to be his forever home with Trisha. So they butt heads there for a bit, but while they're in the snowstorm, they have to find things to do, and so they decide, more like Trisha decides, to further investigate into this house, where she finds this hidden bookshelf filled with all of Dr. Hale's therapy sessions that she had with her patients prior to her disappearance, and they end right before she disappears. So this is new evidence. The cops never found this. Trisha is the only person who knows that this exists besides Dr. Hale, who has again, been gone for years. And so she's a bit interested, and she decides to listen to these tapes to figure out, like, hey, maybe there's something in here that shows or tells us where Dr. Hale went. I gave this one a 4 stars as well. I think this was my favorite Frida McFadden book. I never knew where this was going. I love the way it was written. It was very fast paced. This was definitely a psychological thriller. We didn't focus on the romance part of this one too much, and the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden as well in May, and I have my thoughts about that one, but we will get to that one in a few minutes. But this was just straight up a psychological thriller that had a bunch of twists and turns, that had me guessing around every corner. I could not put this down. I read this from May 6th to the 7th. So I read this one in 2 sittings. I could have read it in 1, but I had to break it up a little bit. But I definitely loved this one. It was so fun. I recommend this if you want a quick and easy psychological thriller that will like have you guessing. You will not see the plot twist in this one coming. But they're trapped in her house that she was living in before she disappeared, and so it's very creepy. They're in a snowstorm. There's like things happening around the house that they don't know what's going on. It is super fun. I definitely recommend this if you're looking for a fast and quick and easy psychological thriller. Again, I gave this one 4 stars. I've only read 3 Frida McFadden books, but this one's definitely my favorite of hers so far. So the next one that I read from May 7th to May 9th is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This one was a bit on the frustrating side. But before we get into my review, our FMC, her name is Elle. She's a screenwriter, and she temporarily has to move back to New York City in order to write this screenplay about this movie set there. So she wants to go back to NYC and kind of visit the spots in order to get her creative juices flowing in order to write the screenplay that she has been commissioned to write. She does not like New York City. She dislikes the fact that she's going to have to live here for the summer, and there's a whole bunch of reasons as to why. One of them is Parker. While she's here writing the screenplay temporarily, she runs into Parker, which she met him a couple of years prior and had a horrible interaction with the man. Ever since then, she did not like him. He has stuck in her mind. He is living rent-free in her mind since that moment, and she does not like this man. So when she runs into him again, she realizes who he is, instantly dislikes him even more, but realizes the fact that he does not remember her at all. And the reason why she runs into this man and will unfortunately keep running into him is because he is her temporary neighbor. As for Parker, he needs a date to some tech events because he's trying to sell his multi-billion-dollar company, but he wants to give off the impression that he is settled down, that he's not crazy, he's about to be a family man. So he enlists Elle's help to be his date to these tech events in order to give off that impression. And in exchange, he will go with her to these NYC locations and help her with her screenplay. At first, she's like, no, because remember, she hates this man. So she's like, okay, whatever. They end up deciding to fake date for the summer for Parker, and while they're fake dating, they're gonna go around to all these New York City spots, touristy spots, so that Elle can finish writing her screenplay. They go into this fake dating, forced proximity, just for the summer romance that starts to feel a little too real for comfort for Elle. If you like those tropes, definitely consider picking up this book. As for me, this one was very frustrating, like I said at the beginning. I gave this one a solid 3 stars. I love the concept of it. It seemed like it was going to be a fun, cute summer romance, but the fault with this book is kind of a big part of the book, and that is Elle. She was frustrating, and she was a little mean to Parker, and I ended off I finished this book thinking to myself, Parker can do so much better than her. Run away from her and go find someone else that will appreciate you and cherish you and not try to make you feel bad for things that you can't control. So this is a single POV, and so we were stuck in Elle's mindset throughout the whole book, which again was not very fun because I disliked her as a main character. But I still recommend that you give this one a try because it might be someone's cup of tea. Again, summer romance, forced proximity, fake dating, these are some good tropes, and I definitely recommend that you read this one if you believe that you will like it. I did a reading vlog on this one, and so if y'all want to go see that, I'll link it in the description below, but that really goes more in depth about how I feel about this book, and you see me actively reading this one. So the next book I read in May, from May 10th to May 14th, was Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Before we proceed, check the trigger warnings of this book. If you think that you are going to like this book, please check the trigger warnings, because some stuff happened in this book that might be triggering for some readers. So just to give a little bit of what it's about, I've already talked about this book so much on my channel, on my Instagram, on my TikTok, that I feel like I don't want to go even more in depth into this. I also have a reading vlog with this one, so if you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts about Beartown, I will link that one down below as well. But this book basically centers around a hockey-loving town as they face a tragedy that forces them to look more deeper into what is important. That's the gist of what it is. I went into this book not really understanding what it was about, because the back of the book doesn't really give you any hints as to what you're going to be getting yourself into. So again, check the trigger warnings, please. But this book was so beautifully written. I read A Man Called Uva, I think that's how you pronounce it, by the same author, and I remember just like every other page I had to stop and really process what I read, because Frederick Bachman has such a way with words. He writes so beautifully. I cannot stress that fact enough. One of the things that I liked about this book is that we got so many people's POVs. I know that sometimes people don't like that, and I am the same way too, just because sometimes you'll get a character's point of view that you're like, oh my gosh, I so do not care about this person, and you're like speed reading through it to get to the next chapter. But I do love books like that, because it opens you to a wide range of emotions, feelings, obviously characters, their experiences, and that is how Beartown was. With all these different POVs, you get the different relationships that these characters have with each other and with the town that they live in, because Beartown is such a central part of who they are as people. It is insane, and you get each and every, it's like they're under a microscope while you're reading this book, and you understand what relationship they have with this town as well. The character development that some of these characters faced, one particular character in the beginning that I disliked, and by the end I was rooting for him. You will truly feel for these people, and you'll either love them or you'll hate them. You'll root for them or you will root for them to get justice, or to, you never know. You never know with Beartown. And so I just truly recommend this book if you really like a literary fiction. It's very immersive, really character driven. There is a plot at hand, but we are really focusing more on a bunch of different characters and how they react to what is going on in the town, and how they treat one another, how going against the grain is sometimes very hard to do in such a small town where everyone knows everyone. And so if you like these character driven contemporary literary fiction type books, this one's definitely for you. But again, last warning, please check the trigger warnings. So I gave this one a 4 stars. I believe that Beartown is a trilogy, and I do want to continue reading it and see what happens with more of our characters. So the next book I read in May, which was from May 14th to the 15th, can anyone guess? The Inmate by Frida McFadden. Of course it is another Frida McFadden book. It is hard to not read these books in almost one sitting. She has a way of just hooking you from the very beginning and keeping you there. But this one's about our FMC Brooke. She gets a new job at this all-men's penitentiary as a nurse practitioner, and she was trying very hard to not work at this men's penitentiary. Unfortunately, all the other jobs in the area were not hiring her, so she had no other choice but to work here. And the reason why she's a bit apprehensive to work at this job in particular is because there's a man that is in prison here, and she helped put him away for life, so she does not want to mess with him. I thought the premise of this one was going to be so promising. I thought this one was definitely going to be my favorite Frida McFadden book. But as far as her books go, I don't think this one's my favorite. Granted, I've only read 3, but I think this one is at the bottom. It read more like a romance / thriller, and which is fun, but that's not what I was wanting. I was picking up a Frida McFadden book because I wanted a twisty thriller. I felt like with this one, the plot twist fell a bit flat for me. It felt a little predictable, and I did not like how this one went at all. Again, it felt like we were focusing a lot on like the romance aspect, whereas I was looking for a thriller. Overall, this still had like Frida McFadden elements. It was fast paced. It was very exciting and thrilling. It just also had a mix of romance, and the ending again fell a little flat for me. I was also very obviously addicted to this one. I read this basically in one sitting, I think only in 2 sittings, but I did give this one a 3 stars as well. The next book I read, which I read from May 17th to the 20th, was The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I absolutely love this one, but before we get into that, let's talk about what it's about. Our female main character, her name is Hannah. She is an executive protective agent or a bodyguard, but she's assigned to protect a very famous celebrity, Jack Stapleton, because he has a stalker. Jack decides to go home to Houston in order to care for his sick mother, and so that is the reason why he needs his bodyguard, is because his stalker, he's afraid his team is afraid that his stalker will kill him. Like, not kill him, but like be stalkerish, and At first, Hannah's reluctant to take this job. She just broke up with her boyfriend. Her mother just passed away. Her best friend is a loser. And so she wanted to take a protective job overseas, somewhere to just get her out of the States for a bit. Like, she's already in Texas herself. So she gets assigned to Jack Stapleton, but she's not leaving the state. She's just leaving her town, and again, she's dealing with a lot of life changes. So she was very reluctant to take this job at first. But her boss is like, sorry, girl, this isn't yes, no, this is yes, and that's it. Like, you are gonna take this job, sorry. So unfortunate for her, but because Jack does not want his mother to worry about him, because again, she is sick, he decides that in order to keep his mother out of the loop and the rest of his family, that they're going to pretend to date. And so when Jack has to move back to his parents' ranch house, who moves in with him? His fake girlfriend, Hannah. As they, of course, spend more time together, Hannah realizes that she might have feelings for Jack, but in her head, Jack will never love her back, because after all, time and time again, she's been proven that she's not the person you fall in love with and stick around. And part of the reason why she believes that is because of her loser ex-boyfriend, who she also happens to work with. So like, there's some drama there and like jealousy, like it's just so fun. But Jack just might be the man that will change her perspective on love and intimacy and relationships, and teach her that it is fine to trust someone enough to let them in. I gave this book 5 stars. Like, I did not care. This was such a 5-star book for me. I'm normally very picky about what I give 5 stars, but I am not the type of person. Sometimes I am the type of person where I do nitpick a bit and I'm like, okay, I didn't like this, 4.5. But if a book just gives me a feeling, like a 5-star feeling, I'm rating it 5 stars, and that's what this one is. This book just gave me that 5-star feeling. Is this a very perfect book? No. Is it written super like Stephen King, Albert Einstein level? No. But this was just such a fun book. It is the epitome of a rom-com. I love the fact that the girl was protecting the man. Like, typically it's flipped. I love the fact that she, in her own right, was like not buff, but she was like just a strong female character. And it was fun reading about like a common trope, the guy protects the girl being flipped and the girl being the one to save the guy at the end of the day. Like, this one was just that. This one's that girl. I loved Hannah. She was hilarious. She was relatable. And just from the very beginning, she just caught my attention. I absolutely adored her. I was rooting for her from page 1. Like, I've talked about this before, but Catherine Center has such a way of getting you to root for her. Really, her female main characters from the get-go. Like, it is such a superpower that she has, and I'm definitely starting to love Catherine Center as an author. As for Jack, and even Jack's family, I love reading about the way that he was able to change Hannah's perspective on love and, show her what it really means to have somebody and to have a family back you up and stay and support you. This was very easy to read. I feel like this one was evenly paced. It was such a rom-com. I was laughing. I was falling in love with our characters. There's forced proximity, opposites attract, fake dating, famous and an ordinary person. Like, There's just so many fun tropes in here. I definitely recommend this book to anyone who loves any of the tropes that I just mentioned. So these next few books are where it gets a bit murky because I started reading like multiple books at the same time. So the next one that I'm going to be talking about that I read from May 18th to the 22nd was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This book actually has like 2 sets of characters and 2 plot lines. So our first one is Margaret. She very like back in the day, she was a very famous person. She came from a very prominent family, and that's how she was known to the world, until one day she fell off the face of the earth following her famous husband's death. So then this introduces our like second set of characters and our second plot line. Years and years later, Alice Scott, she's our FMC, and Hayden Anderson, our MMC, are tasked with writing the biography of Margaret's life. But before one of them officially gets the job, they spend a month with Margaret as sort of like a trial run, and they're going to interview her and like ask her questions and all this stuff and kind of form what will be the book. And then Margaret will see their work at the end of the summer, will choose who she wants to write her biography. So this is a split timeline. We follow Alice and Hayden asking Margaret these questions, and whenever Margaret goes to answer, the timeline splits and we go back in the day and we follow Margaret's great-grandfather, Margaret's grandfather, Margaret's father, Margaret and her sister, Margaret and her husband, and that is just basically what this book is about. But on the present timeline, Alice and Hayden, who are again foes in this little endeavor, start to realize that maybe they have feelings for each other. This is such a mix of genres. This reads like an Emily Henry book, but it is different from her other books in the sense that there's kind of like a mystery, there's romance, there's contemporary, there's just a lot of like life lessons in this, especially from Margaret's side of the aisle. I love like the mother and daughter depiction at the end with Alice's mom and Alice. Like this one definitely reads like a Emily Henry novel. So I don't know why people are saying that this doesn't. I also don't know why people are saying that this doesn't really have any romance in it, because believe me, there is. This one does. There is romance in this one, is what I'm trying to say. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I was so into Margaret and her storyline, and then whenever we would switch back to the present, I was so into Alice and Hayden's love story. You would think it wouldn't fit, that some things would get lost in, you know, in the transition between the two, but it really doesn't. I enjoyed this one. I think Emily Henry did such a great job with this one. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars just because it didn't give me that 5-star feeling, but it was a bit more than a 4-star read. I know some people were comparing it to the plot of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is true. I was getting Evelyn Hugo vibes from this one, and I didn't mind. Other people did, but I definitely did not. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the aspect of the interview, going back and forth, figuring out Margaret's life, and then coming back to the present time and dealing with Alice and Hayden. I really enjoyed this book, what I'm trying to say. So yeah, if you liked Evelyn Hugo, if you like split timelines, if you like a little mystery to your contemporary romance, if you like romance in general, I will give this one a try. It does read like an Emily Henry novel. If you love other Emily Henry books, do pick this one up. Don't let anyone else's opinions sway you, except mine. But don't hold it against me if you did not like it. If you read this one because of me and then you didn't like it, please don't hold that against me. So the next book I read was Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. I received an ARC from this one via NetGalley. So the synopsis of this one is our FMC Abby. Unfortunately, her apartment is infested with bugs, and so she has to go find another place to stay for a while they're treating her apartment. Fortunately for her, she cleans like condos, penthouses, apartments, and she remembers that the client that she cleans for is going to be out of town for a while, so why not live there while she's cleaning? It's owned by a billionaire finance guy, and she decides, okay, you know what, no harm, no foul. Like, I go there anyways, might as well just go there, stay for a bit. Like, no one will know, no one will know. Well, while she's there, who does she run into? She runs into the guy's parents. Yep, she runs into the guy's parents. And she's like, oh, hi, like, I'm Abby. Like, oh, she's freaking out. And the parents are like, oh my gosh, Abby, we are meeting the Abby. And she's like, yeah. So she books it out of there when she, when it's socially acceptable to leave a conversation. She leaves. Well, the billionaire finance guy's parents, which we find out his name's Declan. So Declan's parents end up meeting, you know, Declan for lunch, and they're like, oh my gosh, by the way, we met your girlfriend Abby in your apartment. And Declan is like, what? My girlfriend Abby? In his head, he's like, the fake Abby that I told you about? My fake girlfriend Abby, so that you would get off my back? And they're like, yeah, Abby, like she was at your apartment, such a sweet girl, beautiful hair. And he is in his head freaking out because he's like, okay, one, I don't have a girlfriend named Abby, like I made her up. Two, that means there was this random woman in my apartment, staying in my apartment. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna track down this lady and I'm gonna press charges. So instead of bringing this trespassing criminal to justice, he decides, like, you know what, with Abby's permission, I'm gonna use her as my fake girlfriend for some of these work events because I am trying to get a bit more responsibility within my company. They just do not think that I'm ready because they think that I'm like just this crazy bachelor. But if he takes Abby to these finance events, they will see that he's ready, like he's about to walk down the aisle. He is settled down. He is ready for more of a role in his company. So that's the synopsis of this book. It is fake dating, forced proximity, hate to love. I truly thoroughly enjoyed this one. If you love Lynn Painter, I feel like you will 100% like this one because it is such a classic Lynn Painter rom-com. It was very character driven. This one was also, I would say this one was a little like medium pace. It definitely wasn't slow, but it did drag there a bit. But I still love this one. I loved our characters. Declan was funny. Abby was funny. I love the fact that she knew that Declan needed her and she used that to her advantage to get what she wanted. Like, this one was very fun. I definitely recommend this one. Again, like I said, if you just want a classic Lynn Painter rom-com. So this next book that I read, which I read from May 24th to May 24th, this one is actually the book that I picked up while I was attempting to do a 12-hour readathon. But that is Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. This book follows Ren and Ellis. They are childhood sweethearts. They met when they were like 5 years old. They got together when they were like 16 years old. They got pregnant not too long after that, had a baby boy, got married not too long after that, and were together, realized that they probably weren't that good together, and then they got divorced. 6 years go by since their divorce, and as they are dropping off their son to his college dorm, his freshman year at college, you know, Alice has this idea of why don't they take a road trip back to their hometown after dropping off their son and try to see if they still can have a relationship with each other, like a romantic relationship. He thinks like, let's just give it one last shot. If it doesn't work out, like that's it. Like we are done with each other forever. But he just feels like he needs, one, if it doesn't work out, closure, but two, he just wants to give their relationship one last shot. Ren is a bit reluctant, but she decides, what the heck, like what can go wrong? So they embark on this road trip and just to see if they are once again meant for each other. So this is a second chance romance, obviously, where our main characters again just have a ton of history together. I ended up giving this one a solid 4 stars. It was fun. It was cute. I loved Ren and Ellis. Whenever we met them in Savor It, which is the first book in this like companion series, I automatically knew I was going to love Ren and Ellis's story and their romance because they became the main characters in Savor It. Like obviously their storyline is introduced in Savor It, and automatically I knew I was going to enjoy this book way more. Like I just felt like these characters were going to do it for me, and it did. I loved them. I loved reading about them getting back together. I loved the fact that, you know, they had their history and that they needed, since they got together so young, they needed that time apart to figure out who they were now as adults, you know, because they, I think, got divorced when they were like 25, so you were still relatively young. They had a kid and they needed to find themselves individually before they were able to get back together, you know, and stay together this time around. Like I said, it was fun. I gave it 4 stars because I liked it, but again, it didn't give me that 5-star feeling. There wasn't really anything wrong with it, but I did enjoy this one so much more also than Savor It. I definitely recommend this one if you're looking for a fun, quick second chance romance. It also gives summery vibes because, like I said, they're on a road trip. Like they go camping, they're stopping at diners and stuff. It was super fun, super summery. That was just such a summer read. This next book that I read from May 24th to May 27th is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stevens. So really quickly, I'm just going to give a brief synopsis on this book, and I'm going to read it from my notes. It is two people destined to kill each other, and after every kill, they are reincarnated. And we don't know why. Our main character doesn't know why they're destined to kill each other and how it is going to happen. Our main character knows that they are going to kill each other, and she knows that she will be reincarnated afterwards, and we don't know why this keeps happening. So this sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? I went into this one with just that knowledge that I gave y'all, and it sounds like a very fun book, but I unfortunately believe it wasn't executed to the best of its ability. I know this isn't the purpose of this book, but I would have liked more information on the reincarnation aspect of it and what would happen after every time our characters were killed. After a second, it did get really repetitive because we would go throughout the years from the year, 1100 to 2022. And so it would get very repetitive when, they meet, they kill each other, they get reincarnated. And then it's the year 1500. They meet, they kill each other, reincarnate. And then it's the year 1750. Meet, kill each other, reincarnated. And we never go a bit deeper into the reincarnation aspect of it, which I thought was such a cool concept. I've never read a book with this type of plot line. And so I wish that we just went a bit more in depth with that and what happened to their families. They've had thousands of families throughout the years. We do get one little, where she does talk about going back to a family, and it's this whole thing. Actually, it's not this whole thing, and that's the point. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to go into that one, but I just wish we did get a bit more information with that part of it, because it did start getting very repetitive by around page 150. And after they get killed, the chapter ends and we immediately moved on, and I'm wait, but I want to figure out how are the parents going to find their bodies? What are they going to think? You know what I mean? So I ended up giving this one a 3.5 stars because it did keep me entertained, and I did want to figure out what happened. So good job on the author for that. But it did feel just a little flat for me. And so the next book that I read, which I read from May 26th to the 28th, was My Wife, the Serial Killer by H.J. Garbett. The synopsis of this book is that the wife of a cop kills their neighbor and tries to hide it, as her husband is the lead detective on the main's disappearance. I'm going to be so totally honest, I DNF'd this book and I gave it 2 stars because I feel like giving it 1 star was a bit mean. But I thought this was going to give Finley Donovan is killing it, and it didn't really. I feel like it couldn't execute what it was wanting. I didn't like our main character. She felt a little out of touch and mean, and the rest of the characters were a bit boring. If you see me looking down on something, I have my notes on what I want to say. So if you've ever seen me looking down and at any part of this video, I'm reading my notes. But I feel like our characters weren't really fleshed out. The plot was a bit boring. The comedy fell flat. I just overall didn't really enjoy this book. And I ended up DNFing it because I feel like getting me into a reading slump. I did receive an ARC of this book. I'm going to put down where it's supposed to be released. But I feel like maybe some people would enjoy this one. If you want a comedic murder mystery, I'm guessing, this one is for you, but it wasn't for me, unfortunately. So this next book that I read from the 28th to the 30th, and that is Sheila Sparrows by Devney Perry. So just a quick synopsis, a quick little blurb of what this book is about. Our main character's sister is betrothed to this neighboring kingdom's king. And when the king comes to meet our FMC's sister for the first time, he sees our FMC in the throne room and decides right then and there that he does not want the sister, he wants our main character. This throws everything into chaos. There's a whole lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that whenever the king switches sisters, it just throws everything up in disarray. Is that how you say that? That's a quick little blurb of this book. Obviously, there are more intricate things at play here, a stake here, there's secrets, there's treachery, there's monsters. They're fighting these sick beings, and then there's also these things that come down and kill and crush everybody. It's insane, you guys. It's insane. But at the time of me reading this, again, I was kind of dipping a little bit into a reading slump, and this gave what it needed to give. I wanted a romantasy, and this is that girl. Again, drama, romance, hate to love, secrets. This had it all. If you want a fast pace, because it is a bit, look at these spray touches, but it is a bit of a thick romantasy book. If you want something that's fast paced and just the epitome of a romantasy, this one is for you. The only fault that I have with this one was that in the middle it dragged a little bit and it felt like we were going in circles there for a second. Like the plot wasn't ever moving forward, even though we kind of had a feeling what was going to happen. We never really took that actual first step into moving forward. So that's the only part that I was like, okay, let's get going. But after, like, it picked up again. After a second, it picked up again and it left me wanting the next book. I cannot wait to read the second book in the series. It's not out yet, but I cannot wait for it to come out because I will be first in line at the bookstore ready to pick this up. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I tend not to rate the first book in a series 5 stars. Don't hold me to that. But I try not to, just because then I get to the next book and I end up loving it more. But I can't give it 6 stars, you know? Like officially, I cannot on Goodreads give it 6 stars, or on Fable. I did give it 4 stars. Like I said, am excited to see where the story is gonna go in the next one. But that is all. Those are all the books that I read in the month of May. I had a pretty good reading month. I loved what I read. I cannot believe I was able to read so many. May was the first month that I was out of school officially. I did have like that first week of May where I had a couple of finals that I had to do. But after that, I was free from school for the first time since December. And I could not wait to read. And this is the product of that. All these books are the product of me finally being able to put 100% of my time and effort into just reading. So this was such a great reading month. I was so happy with everything that I read. I loved everything that I read. I cannot wait to continue reading in June and see what this month has in store for me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to follow along for more bookish content. I cannot wait to see you on the next video. Bye!